Today on the Land.MBA podcast, we're going to drop a truth bomb on you. How would you feel if you were on a glide path to $1 million in revenue this year? Would you feel great, successful, like you arrived? The first time I met today's guest, about 4 years ago, he asked me, can you really make $100,000 in this business? Now he's on track to make $1 million in revenue this year alone. So how does he feel? Not the way you might think. The fact is, financial success alone is not enough to charge our tanks. Sometimes success results in a feeling like, okay, I mastered that. What am I going to do now? As human beings, we need challenge and we need purpose. And every once in a while, we need to look inside and reconnect with that purpose. Today's guest is Jesse Marchand, a great guy and a great land investor. He speaks from his heart with brutal honesty and authenticity about success, what it means to him, and where he goes next. So without further ado, here's our interview with Jesse Marchand. Hello, all you beautiful entrepreneurial land investors. This is the Land.MBA podcast. We're so happy you decided to spend some time with us. We are thrilled to have a very special guest on the show, Mr. Jesse Marchand. For a lot of you, he doesn't even need an introduction because you know him, you love him. He's been around for a while and he's really kicking butt. But he's got some really interesting situations and perspectives. And I think that if you were really focused on what does it mean to be a land investor and have to hold down a job at the same time, listen on, because this is going to be a really fascinating conversation. So I, of course, am Howard Zonder, my co-host David Van Steenkist over in the Denver area, and our very special guest, Jesse Marchand. How are you guys doing today?
Good, man. Thank you. I do want to say thank you so much for inviting me. You guys are like some of the first people I met in this industry, and certainly some of the first friends that I've had in this industry. I've been friends with Howard since, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 years. And then right after that, I met David and in the smart bars. And it's just been great getting to know you guys and just grow with you and see how you guys are doing and be guided by your intelligent and experienced hands.
Well, thank you for that. In fact, we should just go right back to the origin story. I feel like this is like a Marvel movie or something. Yeah. So I remember you reached out to me a long time ago, and we discovered that you were actually working on a boat in and out of New Haven Harbor, which happens to be right near where I grew up, and I only live about an hour from there now. And you're like, yeah, I mean, it sounds interesting, but I don't really know about this. I said, I'll tell you what, you know what? I got to come up and see my folks anyway. Why don't we get together for lunch? Yeah. And we met for lunch one day as you got off the boat, and that was a great day. And I remember you looked at me that lunch and you said, let me ask you a question. Can you really make money in this business?
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, you really can.
And then I remember after we hung out, we had a good time. I had a beer, and then you took off and you drove away in your convertible BMW top down. I'm like, all right, maybe this guy does know something that's going on. Wind in his hair, convertible BMW. I pulled up in like a jacked up Jeep Grand Cherokee.
Hey, watch it. I drive a Grand Cherokee.
Hey,
actually, Howard does now too.
Yeah, I do now too.
Copied me, even bought the same damn color.
That's it, Dave. You are the man that I seek to emulate in all regards.
Yes. And yeah, I don't seek to emulate you as far as cars go, man.
Yeah, I've had a little bad luck in the last year, but I think I'm back on the right track, so it's all good. It's all good. So anyway, that was like 5 years ago, 6 years ago.
Yeah, I was still a baby in this industry, you know.
And and you came in and you you got on with Land Speed and you started attending all the smart bars, our Tuesday night mastermind calls, and then you just at some point you just exploded.
Yeah.
So my hat's off to you. I think it's just freaking awesome, and I just
Thank you.
watching you has just been one of the great joys of my career doing this. So pretty awesome. So well, tell us a little bit more about yourself. Tell us about your day job and your life, and then why you made the move into Land and sort of how it fits in.
Sure. So I've been working on tugboats for like 18 years, and I like the work. It's kind of abusive to my body. It's abusive to my mind. It's okay. And I was doing fine until my kid came along, and then leaving because I work 2 weeks on and 2 weeks off. And when I'm gone for 2 weeks, every time I got to tell my kid before that I'm leaving, and I got to leave, and I leave her behind. And it's just been it's been hard. And in all honesty, I would leave, not to get all depressive here, but I would leave Wednesday morning, and Tuesday nights were the smart bars, and I put her to bed, and then I come to the smart bar, and I can't even count the amount of times my kid is like crying about her dad leaving, and I'm in the other room doing the mastermind thing. I'm just like, pushing through, slogging through. So really it was, as much as I love the tugboats and I do like the work, I'm missing a lot of my life. And that has been my biggest motivation to get out of that, has been to find something that I can do at home next to my family, go to bed, wake up next to them. And it's been hard, but I've been getting there, and I'm getting incredibly close. I keep saying, they say people quit at 3 feet from gold, right? That whole thing.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm 3 feet from gold right now, but I feel like the difference is I can see the gold finally, Right. So that's kind of like where I'm at. I'm incredibly close. I'm closer than I ever have been. So it's been good, but it's been a lot of work too. So
yeah,
all things worth doing are a lot of work.
Yeah, and that's okay. I don't mind the struggle and the stress, and I mean it hurts. It brings you down sometimes. It's okay. I don't mind, because I know there's
just use a metaphor. Like I always find skiing to be a good metaphor. I mean, you start skiing and you really suck, and it hurts, and you fall. I remember when I first learned how to ski, I had like a complete tire of black and blue marks going around my hip section, and I could barely sit at the end of the day. And eventually, you can go down the mountain, and it's a good workout, and it's really hard, but you're really, but you're doing it, and it feels good, and the wind's in your face. And then eventually this moment comes. It's like an epiphany when you realize that you need to stop working so hard and let the mountain do the work.
Yeah, there you go.
And then all of a sudden you're like 10 times better than you were before that. You figured that out, and you're working 1/10 as hard.
Yep.
Yeah. It's interesting on that step to leaving the job, especially when you have a family. It's hard to give up that security, right? And then it's all you, right? And then the other thing is, when you have that income coming in from the job, you're able to reinvest everything you make. You don't have to live on it. So you want to make sure that income is substantial enough. You really want to look back and say, man, I should have quit 6 months ago. Let's quit. That's kind of the ideal situation that I've learned about. I wasn't fortunate enough to have that. Actually, I had a situation where I had a boss change, and I was getting close, like you are, like 4 to 6 months away.
Yeah.
And the situation just became untenable. And I was like, all right, I'm making enough, but it's going to be a little stressful. And it all turned out well, but there was a few months of tight budget and stress,
Yeah. And I what I'm trying to do is like build up kind of a kitty or something, like I do have a certain amount, a certain number, and it's part of that amount goes into my business, but the majority of it goes into basically a year's worth of supplying for my family.
Rainy day fund.
Yeah, it's just like, all right, I have a year's worth of bills and everything right here. All I have to do is make the next year's paycheck, you know. But yeah, I know I'm gonna be ecstatic, but also absolutely terrified at first, you know, because yeah, it's all me now, right? I don't have that security anymore, but I'm confident in myself. So I know like when I hit that number,
Are you ready to really launch your success in the land business? If you are, I want to tell you about the Land.MBA Accelerator program. So many programs teach various aspects of the business, but then leave it up to you to figure out how to translate theory into action. The Land.MBA Accelerator program is different than anything else out there because it doesn't just teach you what you need to know, it drives you to turn knowledge into action. Layered on top of our end-to-end Land Business Essentials video course, the Accelerator is a 6-week intensive small group course that goes deep on the most important topics like county selection, pricing, marketing, and much more. In each session, you'll get specific assignments to turn what you learn into the right actions at the right times. So go to land.mba/accelerator. That's land.mba/accelerator and use coupon code podcast to get 25% all of the other courses in our catalog for a whole year. Courses such as our advanced Master Your Pricing course. You'll also get $100 off of Price Boss, the premier pricing tool in the industry. So don't hesitate. Our May session is filling up fast, but we still have a few seats left. So if you're ready to launch your success, don't hesitate. Go to land.mba/accelerator today.
You know, that what you just said is the most important thing I think anybody could ever hear in this business or any entrepreneurial venture. But I have confidence in myself.
yeah, I do.
I used to, so I've worked in a couple startups, and I was started by a friend of mine who I worked with at Lucent Technologies, and then he ended up going off and starting a company with his college roommate, and I ended up going to work with them. We went through that whole process, and then they started another company, and I did some work for them in the second company, and he was a great entrepreneur, but this was how they started a business, and I think this is really fascinating. This was the order in which they did things. The first thing they did when they started a business is they found an office space. The second thing they did is they created a logo and a brand. And the third thing they did is figure out what it is they were going to do.
Yeah, right.
And the reason was because
okay.
that they were going to do something and that it was going to be successful was never in doubt.
Yeah, nice.
So the first two things basically set them up so that they had 100% of their time and energy to solve that problem.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just sort of a representation of the degree of confidence they had in their ability to figure it all out. And, sure enough, they were successful twice. So
good.
Probably more than that now, but
yeah. And that's really, I mean, that's very much a burn the boats attitude, right? Because most of the time, you want to make sure that you set yourself up for success. And if you got a family, you kind of want to, have that, play it a little bit safe and gradually go over there. Well, but the biggest thing is not take on the overhead, like going ahead and getting an office and putting all that overhead. A lot of people wouldn't recommend that. They might say, burn the boats and quit the job and go full boat. But
I'm confident, but I don't know about that.
Right?
Yeah, I'm not suggesting that's for everybody. But I do. But I think why they did it is important.
Yeah,
no, it makes sense.
It's like, okay, this is real. We're jumping in with all feet.
We're not. Yeah,
a good business plan and good confidence. Then.
Yeah, and that's kind of.
There was one more little story. So this, I was listening ages and ages ago to the Howard Stern show before he went on satellite, and this woman ends up coming on the show, and she had been like trying for hours and hours and hours to get past the producer so she can get on his show. Just showed up that day. And so she gets up there, and evidently she was very attractive. So Howard Stern does his normal routine, which was very off color, which I won't repeat right now. And after a while of just really razzle and dazzle her, he said, "All right, look it, you're here for a reason. You're trying to promote something. What is it you're trying to promote?" And she said, "Well, I'm trying to promote my CD, and I was wondering if you'd play a song from it." And he said, "You have a CD?" And she said, "Yeah." And he said, "What's your day job?" And she said, "Oh, well, I do this, that, everything. You just have to have a plan B." And he goes, "I'm not playing your CD." Do you think I would be in this seat right now if I had a plan B?
Yeah.
I sucked and everybody hated me.
Yeah.
I was so committed to what I was doing that I had to work through that and solve these problems and make it happen no matter what. I would have given up in day 2 if I had a plan B. So forget it. I'm not playing your CD. And I never forgot that conversation.
Yeah, I'm not going to leave with my single finger in the air, but I have licenses and certificates that I need to keep up, and I'm just not going to do that. I'll just let them expire. I'm not going to burn my bridge, but I have no intention on taking any steps to keep anything burning back there.
Right.
Just let it all fade out, man.
Well, it's interesting too, because it's really such an individual choice, right? And it's an emotional decision as well, and so it needs a lot of buffering with logic and figures and bouncing it off of people that have some experience doing it and whatnot, because you can get real emotional about it. I know hanging on to my job, I mean, yes, ideally I would have loved to probably stay in my job longer, but there was an opportunity actually a couple of years before that when I had gotten laid off, but I had just made a big sale and a bunch of profit in the land business that certainly took the stress off. But I spent so much time finding a new job and everything. When I look back at it, I wish I would have just burned the boats then.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got kind of lucky because in my last corporate job, I'd been there for 5 years, and it was a very understanding and amicable split. I had every intention of getting a new job, although I was really looking for the side hustle that I could transition to because I knew I didn't want to work in corporate too much longer. And it was funny. I started the land business. I left there in December of 2015. I started the land business in January of 2016, and I don't know, it was January or February of 2016, and I'm down on Wall Street in my suit, getting ready to go upstairs for an interview. My head is completely in the interview game. And, when I go for a job, I mean, I'm competitive. I'm like, I may not get this job, but if I don't get it, it's because I don't want it, not because they don't want me. That was sort of my attitude. And so my head was so focused, and I'm walking around and my phone rang, and this guy said, "Hey, I got this letter. Just wondering what this is all about." I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. He's like, "Yeah, it says you want to buy my land in Colorado." I'm like, oh, right. And he's like, "Well, yeah, I'd like to take you up on it." And I'm like, "Okay." And I'm trying to be sound like a
Yeah.
And we're good on the price. He's like, yeah, the price is fine. I'm like, well, all right then. It's like, I'm about to go into a meeting and I'll call you back in a couple hours. And as fate would have it, I actually went all the way down the path with two different jobs, down to it was the final 2 candidates. And in both cases, I didn't get it. And it was this massive, massive hit to my ego. And I was really down about it. And because, also would have been nice to have the security and the benefits and all that stuff too. But as fate would have it, I just put everything I had into the land business. And before the end of the year of that year, I was making pretty much what I was making in my last corporate job.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, I would have never, and that was more than either of them were going to pay me too.
And how's that land
And
thing
then,
going
and
for
then
you
my wife
now?
got cancer, and I wouldn't have been able to do all the support and all the
Yeah.
stuff that I had with that if I had to go to an office every day. So, I mean, I do believe sometimes there's just someone up above that looks down on you and sort of helps, guide
Yeah.
you in the direction you need to go.
May not be your plan, but it's his plan.
Oh yeah, right.
Exactly.
What they say, men plan, God laughs, or something like that.
Or he cries. He's like,
Yeah.
No, he just puts his head in his hands like, oh, not again.
Yeah, right.
about 16 hints to go that way. About number 17. That's me.
So Jesse, the interesting thing when I talk to you is that you are, in a lot of ways, you're a planner. Like you set goals and you have strategies and goals and you kind of say, okay, these are the milestones I'm looking for before I can sort of take this next bold action. And so you started 5-6 years ago, and how's that evolved?
Well, it's evolved because now I'm a planner, and before I was a dreamer.
Okay.
I started off dreaming, and I have always been that way. I have definitely always been trying to do something on my own, entrepreneurial something or other. And prior to land, I do remember telling my wife, I was like, I don't know what it is yet, but something is going to hit. Like, I am going to do something. I don't know what it is yet. And I would try different things and they wouldn't work out. But I kept dreaming. And then finally something hit, the land thing hit. And now I'm like, I'm still dreaming. I have ultimate personal goals and things I want to achieve. And, but the only way to get there is to like really have a solid plan. I know we were kind of chatting before, but man, it's been a massive mindset shift from dreaming to doing to planning to executing to, it's like you could dream about it, but you really have to make it work on your own. Yeah. And to do something like that really takes a lot.
But it does all start with the dream, because that's how you build your why.
Well, yeah. And so, how did it start with the dream? Well, I mean, that's the reverse engineering part of it. It's like, this is where I want to be. How do I get back? Like,
but it's what keeps you going.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Goals and plan all the details and everything.
Yep.
But that doesn't motivate you. That's how you achieve the dream. The dream is what keeps you going.
Yeah.
When you have a crappy month, when land's not selling, when when you lost a big.
A lot of things motivate me and a lot of things, keep me going. But yeah, I haven't hit that ultimate dream yet, but that's okay. Cause like I have also consistently been taking steps forward. And every time I have a step forward, that is motivating on its own. It's like, okay, one step closer to this, a step closer to that. And having successes is motivating. Thankfully, I've had more successes in this industry than I've had failures, and the failures can really bring you down.
Yeah,
it's
motivating when you're having success.
Yeah, it's easy, and having the mindset to keep going when you've lost $40,000-$50,000 on a deal you hoped you would, But that's another thing I'm learning. Like, all right, just let that go. That was yesterday.
Yeah.
It's almost like being the professional athlete. Oh, you missed the tackle or whatever, and you can't let that get you down, or else it's screw you up on the next play. You've got to say, okay, that was 2 seconds ago. Now I'm looking forward.
Being a former field goal kicker, I can tell you that's really, it's all, you got to let that thing go. It's all about the next one, man.
Yeah.
But especially when it's the last play of the game.
Yeah. I've always had the drive to do things. But that's another thing, like I've been learning recently, is like I've had these characteristics or these personality traits about myself that have helped me start things. But to really keep going, I have to like really hone those skills. Not everybody is driven. Not everybody wants these, or really has it in them, and that's fine. As long as people are happy, I don't care. But it's, I don't know. I'm sorry. The thing is right now, I'm just like, I've just been recently realizing how hard it is sometimes to just keep plowing through and keep going, and, to have to change all these mindset shifts in your brain to say, I can't be stopped. I'm not going to stop. Can't stop, won't stop. Right.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. It's a lot, man. So can I say something though, real quick? There's something I was thinking about. And I was talking to somebody, a friend the other day, kind of on this subject. I was like, when I was in, I think it was like 9th or 10th grade, they had this like, poster saying thing on the wall that was like, the difference between ordinary and extraordinary is that little extra. And it's just like, I'm realizing that little extra is a lot. You want to be ordinary, that's fine, but if you want to be extraordinary, holy cow, it's exhausting trying to create some sort of extraordinary life, legacy, whatever. It's just to do something way more than ordinary is a lot.
Yeah. Well, the word you used earlier, I don't know if you used it, was since we hit the record button, was passion. And,
getting the passion.
And when you have passion, it's like you're able to tap in this unlimited amount of internal energy. Without the passion, it's like pulling blood from a stone.
Yeah.
And so where does the passion come from? I tell this to my son all the time with regards to school. I said, what is the secret to success? And he knows the answer by now, because I've said it a million times. It's like, the answer is caring.
Yeah.
If you don't care about it, your mind won't focus on it. And if your mind doesn't focus on it, you're going to sit there and look at that book or that page for hours and you're going to get nowhere.
Yeah.
But the moment you care about it, you're in it. You're like sucked into it. You're passionate about it, and you do it. You feel the success when you work that math problem out and it works. And sometimes, it's hard to find the caring because either I've been doing this for a long time now and I'm kind of bored with it, and it's not new anymore. Passion always seems to be connected to new.
Yeah.
And so how do you stay passionate about something that you've been doing for 6 years?
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, I'm still passionate about it. I have kind of felt burnt out recently, so I've been kind of like taking a breath and reprioritizing and letting all of the systems that I've created kind of run their job. So it's good. I'm not, me taking a breath doesn't mean that the company is collapsing. I got all these other people that are still actively passionate about it, helping me out. But I definitely need to find, I don't want to say passion because it's still there. I just need to kind of reprioritize some things and kind of feel the passion again. Yeah. But I'm not leaving it. I'm just
Well, we
try to find my passion almost again, I guess.
Yeah, we all go through.
And I know it's there. It's okay.
We all go through the peaks and valleys, in no matter what we're doing in life, and we gotta, sometimes it's just taking a break. Might be a vacation. Might be some rest. I know a business coach of mine that I used to coach with. He would recommend, at least once a quarter. And I haven't been good at this. I've done it a couple of times, but nowhere near once a quarter, but just alone, go to the mountains, go to some place, spend a weekend alone, turn your phone off, bring a couple of books and your journal, do some hiking, some meditating, some prayer, listening to music, whatever, and just, recharge and reprioritize, but to turn off all the distractions. You're not going to be able to reach me. My phone's going to be off. And I've done it a couple of times, and I'm actually really due for another one. And it's really great. If you focus and it really rejuvenates you.
Yeah.
So I guess if we don't hear from you anymore, we'll just assume you've gotten eaten by wolves.
Yeah. I realize I can't quite do that now because my own life style or whatnot. But what I have been trying to do is try to find those small rejuvenation moments throughout my day, and take a time block a break into my day where normally I sit down and I work until I'm like, I can't even stand up anymore. Right. So I can't really take weeks off at this moment, but I am trying to take a couple hours a day.
Weekend.
I will tell you though, what happened we kind of realized that made me realize I was even burnt out, was that my marketing or my acquisitions manager, she texted me one day and she's like, I need you to do me a huge favor. I'm like, yeah, okay, sure. What? She's like, I need you to take Friday off. I'm like, oh no. She's like, yeah, I could tell you're kind of burnt out. I'm like, oh, geez, okay. And then I started to realize, like, I didn't even realize I was burnt out. Like when your team is like, hey, you know, you're slipping here, you're slipping there, you're not quite in it. I'm like, all right. So I've been kind of
my ass on the other side of the rooms.
yeah. And then I told my wife and she just started laughing. She's like, yeah, I've been telling you that for months. I'm like, but I went back. I was like, look, if I take Friday off and I take Monday off, I'm like, I'm just going to go back to my old ways. And now I'm going to be, you know, a couple of days behind. So what I've been trying to do is just really find that time throughout the day to take a break and take my time. Yeah. Not burn myself out and work myself to death.
That's good.
You know, I've probably done this kind of in my whole career, and never meant to. I just sort of stumbled upon this idea. Is that, and as a marketer, trying to come up with the right idea to communicate something or to present something to the market, I found that because I was doing technology, that there was so much value in reading things that had absolutely nothing to do with technology.
Yeah.
I would read anthropology. I would read Pulp Fiction, or just whatever. It didn't matter. I mean, I could be reading Elle magazine, and, suddenly I would see something and I'd read something in there and it would make this connection for me in a way that with what I was doing at work. And it allowed me to see things in a completely different mindset, different approach, because it was completely unrelated. And yet at some level, there was something that connected and made sense. And, and I've stepped that up over time to say, realize when I feel like I'm hitting a rut, I need a change of venue. I literally need to go someplace that's not here.
Yeah.
Kind of what David was talking about, going up into the woods or something. It doesn't matter to me whether I'm alone or whether I'm not alone. Sometimes it's great to not be alone, but to talk to somebody who can stimulate your mind in ways that it doesn't normally get stimulated, or to help you remember what's important, I guess. Yeah. Because we work once, and I'm kind of like you are, once I sit down and if I have to do something, my head, I go into total tunnel vision. It's like, my kid doesn't exist. The world doesn't exist until I finish that.
Yeah.
And then, but the problem is that, you get so lost in the weeds, you truly do lose the forest.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. I do that as well. When I get so engrossed in something, I get in the weeds, but usually if I get really engrossed, it's a part of the business that I enjoy. Yeah. And so it's also they say we do things like binging on Netflix, like other, things that cause pleasure to avoid other pain.
Yeah.
So there's parts of our business where we suck at or don't like to do, and so we procrastinate those.
Yep.
Getting that tunnel vision on the part that we love to do or is interesting and stimulating. We maybe not. I do this, and I think you guys probably do it too. You ignore your time block. I'll have blocks on my calendar. And I'm like, all right, I'm supposed to do this at this time. I don't really like that. I need to finish
it.
Don't really need to finish that today. I need to put it over there and do that. And that's my biggest failure in life.
Yeah. I do okay with that, but I definitely hear you. There are times where I look at my to-do list and I'm just like, what do I feel like? What do I feel like doing? What do I want to do? What needs to be done? Okay, this is a high priority, but I don't want to do it. It's like, how about we do some medium priorities right now? We'll do the high priority later. But I hear you. I mean, before this podcast today, I was, doing target data analysis, looking at spreadsheets, and I'm just like, I'm all into it. I'm like, oh, okay, this is great. Look at these numbers.
But I really need to pay this bill.
Yeah. But then I got like this other thing over here. It's like, I got to get this off to the tax lady. And I'm like, no, I'll just keep looking at it. I emailed her and I was just like, let's do that Monday. Like, that'll be okay. But yeah,
I was supposed to have a meeting with my tax lady yesterday, and she emailed me in the morning, said, can we put it off till next week? I'm like, hell yes.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, it's I don't know. I'm sorry. I hope we're not like kind of making this podcast depressing. But I think it's important to know the truth that, man, you can work too hard sometimes, and I know us, and I know this community, and the people that are successful in this community, they won't stop. They can't stop and won't stop. And that was another thing I was talking to my wife about last night. I was like, even when I get this business to a point where I'm only working on it, a few hours a week or a 4-hour work week, like, I'm going to be bored and I'm going to want to do something else. Probably just start another company, start it all over again, because
you're a serial entrepreneur now.
Yeah. I like the building part of it. I like the slog and the grind and the learning and that's really where the passion is. Like, I've always liked to build stuff. I work on cars, I do woodworking, and whatever it is, I like to create. And right now I'm at a point where I've kind of built the business up to a point, but I want to take it a little bit further. And then I'm going to be ready to build something else again.
Okay, but while you go to build something else, what happens to this business?
I'm hesitant to answer this question because I'm not sure that person wants it out there. I have somebody in mind. All right. So currently,
you don't have to answer it.
No. I'm trying to find a way to answer it without kind of putting somebody on.
I have a plan.
I have a plan. I feel right now like I consider myself the owner, the operator, the manager of the company. And you can either be the manager, or you can be the CEO, right? Well, I'm managing. That's great. I want to get this company up to about $1 million gross per year minimum. If I could build it up further, we will. At that point, I'd like to transition into a more CEO position. And I have approached somebody to kind of take over my position in the company. That we're still looking, maybe next year or the year following when that would happen. So a year or two. But yeah, I have been talking to somebody, and I'm hoping that they're interested about just kind of taking over my position and make them a partner in my business. And then I only have to kind of check in, maybe go to the team meetings or, check in quarterly or whatnot. And then I think I probably want to get into storage units, and there's other businesses down the road. But I think that might honestly be my next business is storage units.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. I think
and do the same thing and build that up, and then
that's right.
But it's congruent. It's still real estate. You're still able to use a lot of the fundamental principles, the marketing, mailing, etc. And it's a congruent business. It's not like going from flipping land to I'm going to go start a manufacturing business.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, but I think the terms, right? So you said manager, CEO, and operator, I think was the word that you used.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you think about it, when you're the manager, you're doing the work. You're really doing a lot of the work. When you're the CEO, you're managing the people who are doing the work.
Yeah.
And so the manager level, you bring people on and they're like specialists. Okay, this person does my acquisitions, or this person does my marketing, and they know their roles, right? And then a CEO person chief executive officer. They're managing the execution of everybody so that they're working in cooperation to achieve the greater goal.
Yeah.
I think the term where we all would love to get to, and I think what you were describing is actually chairman.
Oh, okay.
Right, or board member, because
Yeah.
like if this was a technology company, right, a startup, you'd go out and you'd get VC money, and then there'd be a board of directors. So the founders would be on it, some representative of the different VCs or funders would be on it, and then what happens is, and I know I feel exactly. I think you and I have more in common than I ever realized. Is I love to build things.
Yeah.
I hate to run them.
Yeah.
And it's a different kind of a person. And so what happens is you build a company up, and then you build a brand, and you build a product, you build a reputation, you build all this stuff. And then at some point, the right thing to do is to turn it over to another person. And so the first CEO is the builder, the second CEO is the operator.
Gotcha.
And then you as the founder sort of rise up into more of the board member route. Mm-hmm. And what does a board member do? I mean, the responsibilities of a board member are quite different than the responsibilities of a CEO. I mean, they're more financially oriented, they're more strategy oriented. The amount of time that you're doing that is a lot less, because you're sort of getting together with the board and the CEO, and the CEO's actually got to come up with a lot of the strategy anyway, but you put it all in there and they say, okay, yes, that's where we want to go. We make the final decisions. Now CEO, go execute it. I'm going to the beach.
Yeah. And that's kind of what I want to do. And I mean, I the building thing again, even when I'm like building, like I said, I do little hot rod, rat rod things on the side. The whole thing I love about it is the building of it. After that, I'm just like, I'm driving it around, and I love to drive it around, but I'm ready to build something else. And when I do the woodworking thing, I never build the same thing twice. Everything I build next is a new challenge, taking the experience that I gained before. But, I built something a while back, but everyone's like, oh, can you build me one? Can you build me one? It's like, no, I don't want to. I've done that. Like, it's all about the building and the challenge for me. And once I've done it, I'm like, I'm kind of on to something new. But I want to take everything that I've learned and all those experiences and all those, experience in building systems and all that. I love doing that. I really do. I guess that's where my passion is. Thank you. I guess I found my passion.
Well, I fully expected this podcast to be a therapy session, so.
I needed it.
Now, see that. What I'm dying to hear is, so I think we got a pretty good understanding of your background and how you got into land and kind of your persona and, kind of next steps and what you're wanting to do. I want to hear about because I knew you from the Smart Bar.
Yep.
Most of the time, you were pretty quiet and calculated and asking a lot of questions, and seemingly like, okay, you're having some success but struggling, and just kind of doing okay. And then in this last year, just reading your posts and things like that, it seems like you've just taken off. What was the turning point? Was there a magic moment, or did you make a change, or was it just the fact that you kept putting one foot in front of the other and it finally grew? What was
I think it was honestly a combination of those things. I mean, I got as a coach, and he helped me make some changes just in my business in general, just like, that really helped. But one of the big things he taught me or told me was like right off the bat, he's like, you got to get off the phones. And it was a huge relief because I didn't like doing the phones anyway. But it was coaching, and it was slogging away on my own for 5 years. And finally, like, I have a moment where I could put all these pieces into place with the guidance of a coach, say, put this here, put that there, here you go. But while he taught me some mindset and some strategy, it wasn't like he taught me to redo my entire business or anything like that. It was taking what I already had built and had and just kind of fine tuning that and, adding a couple things and, tightening these screws here and correcting these things here. So it wasn't like he, again, it's not like he completely flipped my business upside down, but he already took what I had and showed me how to do all of that better, I guess.
Right.
And once I did that, I hired my acquisitions manager. A couple months after that, I hired a marketing manager. A lot of that time, the past year or so, has been training them. But at the same time, the more I trained them, the more they did, and the less questions they were coming at me, or the more experience they got, the more they learned. It gave me more time to focus on how do we grow bigger? How do we scale? How do I really get this rocket ship going? And that's kind of where we've been at. That's where this past year has been at. It's like, now I have a team. Now I can focus on getting huge. And that's really been what I'm doing. Now I'm able to take these strategies that I've always wanted to do. And I always knew, I guess I should say, I knew they would work, but I knew that was the right path to take. Now I have the time to do those strategies.
To work
and it has,
versus on it.
Yes. Yeah. It's like, okay, once I have some, before when it was just myself, it's just like, I only had enough time to just kind of keep going.
Yep.
Just, keep my head above water. And now I'm like, okay, now I have time to take these huge leaps, or should say huge leaps, but much larger steps, and they're paying off, and it's been great.
Yeah. Yeah. Very good.
And I'm kind of at that point again, like once I get off the boats and I go full time, I'm at that same point. These are the strategies I want to put into place. These are the things I want to do. And I know that I'm going to have another big leap in the next year or two. I just know. Yeah. I'm going for $1 million next time. Yeah. Next year, $1 million. I don't actually, you know what? I will tell you this. I was going for $500,000 this year. And while I don't have that yet, if you look at the equity we have in inventory, I'm almost there already. Like those checks haven't been cashed and they haven't been deposited. But in the first 2 months, we have in equity what my goal is for the year. And I'm just like, okay, I don't know what this means yet, but so yeah, I mean, maybe next year will be $1 million a year. I don't know.
It's very good.
I think it can be. Yeah. And that was the thing. Going back to when I sat down with Howard that very first time in that cafe, I was like, can you make $100,000 doing this job? It's like, yeah, you can, I mean, what does it take? That was why he was like, oh yeah, absolutely no problem. It's not no problem, but it can be done. And then once you realize it can be done, it's like, can I make $500,000 in this job? It's like, yeah, I think I can. Can I make $1 million doing this? Yeah, I think I can. Can I make $2 million? I don't know yet, but I'm going to find out.
I remember when I first started and I had a really slow start and I was mailing and I wasn't getting any real responses. And it just I just hadn't clicked yet. And the thought that just was in my head and I couldn't get rid of it was, I looked at all the other people in the business and I said, look I may not be smarter than them, but they're not smarter than me either.
Yeah.
And if they can do it, I can do it. They somehow have cracked the code and I just haven't cracked the code yet, but I'm going to.
Yeah. And that's kind of the confidence thing. It's like, yeah, it was the same thing. Like Howard's, I'm sure each one of you guys are making over $100,000 a year doing this. And once you realize that those people are doing it, it's like, I have confidence I can do that. If they can do it, I can do it. Exactly. Both of you guys are highly intelligent people. I know as far as you guys go, I don't think I'm that intelligent, but I'm also incredibly hardworking and I can learn a lot of stuff. I'm
glad I fooled you.
I know
you didn't fool me.
Howard is one of the best marketing people I know. I don't think I could ever reach that. I really can't, but that's okay. I'm still making it happen. But Knowing, it's like, it's the other thing of being like the dumbest person in the room, right? Like that's kind of what you want to be, you know, because you want to surround yourself with people that are doing better than you. And that's what I've done. And that whole mentality of surrounding yourself with those people, it could be incredibly encouraging. And,
it's not dumb or smart.
Yeah, it's really not.
Because different people are good at different things.
Yeah.
But the person who really makes it is not the person who knows how to do everything best. It's the person who best knows how to orchestrate the people who know how to do things best.
Yeah. And it's, again, for me, it kind of goes back to the mindset. It's like, I didn't realize how much of a mindset you really had to build something like this. You know, it's like when I go in to do a woodworking project, it's like, just cutting here and sanding there, and it's, fun and whatnot. It's a relaxing thing. This is not super relaxing, but man, you can build something like this. You really have to have the mindset for it.
Yeah. Well, I think
if you have the mindset for it, or you can hone those skills and get that mindset for it, that's really what it is. I'm not any smarter than either one of you guys, but I know we're all really hardworking, and I know that we have to have the mindset. And I think that's really what makes somebody truly successful, is having the proper mindset to do that.
It's exactly
having that little extra, right? Being able to pull that little extra.
It's exactly right. I think there are, we hear the term analysis paralysis, but the other thing is a lot of people get stuck because they don't know how to do something.
Yeah.
And as entrepreneurs, we're never going to know how to do everything. And we can't become an expert at it overnight.
Right.
So many different skills that are involved in building any business.
Yeah.
So it's not as an entrepreneur, we have to forget about how and just figure out who.
Yeah. Surround yourself with the people that know or have the right mindset.
Who can teach you, or who can you outsource it to?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, what people may not know is one of the products that we sell at Landspeed is Price Boss. But what people may not know is that there would be no Price Boss if there was not first Jesse Marchand. That you would come to me and we were trying to work out some pricing, and I'm like, well, let me show you how to do this cool thing on Excel. And I thought to myself, why am I teaching people how to use Excel?
Yeah.
First of all, it's probably the last thing in the world he wants to learn.
Yeah.
And second of all, there has to be a better way. And I said, let me see if I can come up with a little tool that will take a lot of that pain out of it. And you don't actually need to know how to use spreadsheets.
Yeah.
If you use the tool, we'll just make it all buttons in there.
Yeah.
And so that was the origin story of Price Boss. And then as it evolved, there would be these moments where I knew I wanted to do something, but I had no clue how to do it. And I would it would be like 8 o'clock at night. And I would say, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to solve this problem tonight.
Mm-hmm. And
I would just dig and play and try. And sure enough, almost every single time that happened, I figured out how to solve a problem, just because I put it out there as a fun, exciting challenge. Mm-hmm. I'm going to solve this problem. And then, and we made a lot of progress doing that, but we got so far, but I could only get so far because, I'm not a really developer at heart. And then, really probably being pushed hard by Dave, I brought on this other person who is a hardcore developer. And I mean, it went from 0 to 60 in no time, because I've got the right talent to do it. So there's 3 parts of that. One is, just listening to you and what your needs were helped me understand what a product need. And then 2 is, just the whole idea of whatever it is, it doesn't matter whether it's how to market or how to sell or just how to orchestrate the team. We don't know something, and one of the best ways to overcome that is to just define it as, you know what, I'm going to put a little box around it so I can define it. I'm not boiling the ocean here. Mm-hmm. One formula. That's all I needed. One formula. It's one little thing, and I am going to solve that problem. I'm going to master it tonight.
Yeah.
And I think that's great. And then once you do that, outsource the crap out of everything.
Yeah. And to add to that too, there's something I was thinking of when you're saying this is like, I don't think that you need to know exactly how to do something before you outsource it. Like everyone's like, oh, when you get into this business, know how to do every aspect of it and then outsource it. It's like, there are a lot of stuff where I hired people to do a very specific job. Like I don't want to know how to do that. I don't want to learn it. I just know it can be done and I have to find the right person to do it. And it's okay that I don't know how to do that.
Yeah.
And
like bookkeeping.
Yeah,
That's what.
Please, dude. No way. I'm not doing that. But I found an awesome bookkeeper and I found an awesome tax strategist. And that's a great example. It's like, I don't want to learn that. I did, when I was hiring my bookkeeper, I was like, I want to be 100% hands off. I don't want to do any of this. She was like, you have to know some of this so you know that I'm doing it right. It's like, all right. So I am kind of like learning some aspect of it just to say, okay, at least she's not stealing my money,
Right.
But yeah, I really think it's okay not to know how to do something. I mean, even with my team, a lot of times I'm like, look, here's a resource. I don't know if it'll help. I don't know how to use it, but here you go. Take a look, learn it. If you think you can use it, use it. If not, fine. I'm not like, this is what you do. This is exactly how you do it. And this is what you're going to start doing from now on.
I've done that as well, and I think it also comes down to the level of person you have working for you.
Yeah.
If it's a $4 an hour Filipino VA, that might be more true. But if you've got, US based or a higher level Filipino VA, you may be able to say, look, this particular dude over here taught this little mini course on this particular subject, and I need to execute that in my business, but I don't have time to learn it and teach you.
Yeah.
Let me give you access to the course. You learn it and execute it. And I've done that and it's worked.
Yeah, I actually just recently did that almost exact same thing with my acquisitions manager because, I know Howard's going to wet his pants when I say Chris Voss here, but he has that master class. It's on the master class website or whatever, and he has one. And I was just like, I am not a good negotiator. I wish I was. I want to be better. I would like to take that course, but it also doesn't really help me right now because I'm not talking to sellers and I'm not talking to buyers. I'm not negotiating anymore. So I signed my acquisitions manager up. I was like, here you go. Do this. Take this course. And she did. And she loves it.
I was thinking about doing the same thing for mine. That's a great idea. Yeah. What's he charge for that course?
I got like a whole year for $150 or something like that.
We're not talking about a Chris Voss class. You basically sign up for master class and you get all the courses, and he's got one of the courses on.
But you could also like learn to cook, or you can learn. But there is like leadership things in there. I bookmarked a ton of stuff. There's some marketing stuff in there. I marked like I think almost a dozen different classes, or maybe like probably 6 to 8 different classes for my team, including myself, to take. Like, hey, you would really benefit from these 3 classes. I would benefit from these 3 classes. You would benefit from these 3 classes. But the whole course for like the year was like $150 or something. And
I'm doing it. I'm going to buy it as soon as we hang up here.
Man.
Yeah, I bought it for my nephew for his birthday, and then they basically gave you 2 for the price of 1. So he got it and I got it.
Yeah. And it's not just videos either. Like there's, at first, one of his classes was like, you unlock the classes as you go through them. So you can't unlock them all at once and just power through like 2 hours of videos. You do have to do some homework, and there's some notes, and sometimes there's some groups and some different things you become active in. So yeah, there's more than just like Chris Voss trying to sell you more stuff for the next 2 hours or teach you how to do this. There's quite a process, and you can't, it depends on the class that you take, but you'll take like one module, and then like next week, the next one is unlocked, but that's because it gives you maybe so you don't cancel your subscription, but they do give you like kind of homework and stuff to do until the next one is. But there's a whole bunch of them in there. I thought it was pretty cool for $150. I was like, hey, we'll all take some courses.
I like it. Well, you know what, Howard, thanks for booking Jesse today. That was worth worth the hour of pain.
Yeah. Hey, imagine living with myself.
Right. Well, cool. Well, guys, I think we're approaching our time limit here. Do we have any? I have no more questions for you, Jesse. But if there's anything else you want to share with the audience, Howard, you got any other questions?
No, but we're one state away, buddy, and the good weather's coming, so we got to get together.
I'm looking forward to it. Now we're all getting back to normal too. So
yeah.
Well, warm weather. I'm due for another month in Connecticut.
Yeah.
Actually, I was thinking about getting away. I'm thinking about grabbing the boy and maybe going down to Dallas for a couple of weeks.
Oh, cool.
So let's all meet down there. Let's do a land meetup in Dallas.
There you go. All right, we got to talk about that Belize trip.
Yeah, we got to do that too.
All right, sounds good, gents. Have a great day, Jesse. Have a great day.
Thanks,
Howard.
Jesse. Appreciate it.
All right, love you guys.
See ya.
We hope you enjoyed this episode, had a bit of fun, and walked away with some actionable insights that you can apply to your business. Dave and I have got some great content and interviews planned, so don't forget to rate and review, and of course subscribe to this podcast on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, or wherever you get your podcasts. If we mention any interesting links or tools, you'll find them in the show notes. To learn more about Land.MBA, visit our website at, wait for it, Land.MBA. See you next time on the Land.MBA podcast.